Hi, one and all. Myself, I'm Dr. Chaitra, Professor, Department of Pathology. So today I'll be taking class on fibroadenoma and carcinoma breast. First, we'll know the normal structure of the breast. Breast is a modified skin appendage which is functional in female during lactation and it is rudimentary in males. Microanatomy of the breast, it reveals two main component tissue, that is epithelium and epithelial and stromal tissue. Coming to the microanatomy of the breast, so here we can see the nipple. So lactiferous sinus, it is opening into the lactiferous sinus. So sinus is showing lactiferous duct, and you can see many lobes. So there are many 15 to 20 lobes. So these lobes, it connects into the lobules, and each lobule will have a terminal ductule. So each will be showing the terminal duct and the collecting duct, and also within the duct you can see the ductules and the acini. So this is the microanatomy of the breast, and also here you can see the lesions which is present according to the microanatomy. So you can see Paget's disease, which is always associated with the nipple. Adenoma of the nipple is also very common in the nipple area. Intraductal papilloma, it is very common in the ductules or within the duct. Fat necrosis is also very common within the breast tissue. Hyperplasias, carcinomas are seen in the terminal ductal unit. Fibroadenoma and cysts also you can see in the terminal duct units. So here you can see the histopathological picture of the breast. So always the breast, it has a two lining epithelium. So here you can see the single layer. This is the inner layer which consists of cuboidal to columnar epithelium, and outer lining you can see, that is myoepithelial cells. Here you can make out, and this is the IHC. Here you can see SMA, which is showing myoepithelial cells. So you can make out here two lining epithelium, inner cuboidal to columnar and outer myoepithelial cells. Here also it is same. To show myoepithelial cells, I've added the IHC slide. Okay. So next we'll go to the epithelial component. So epithelial component, it consists of terminal duct lobular unit. So it performs the main secretory function during lactation. Okay, the large duct system, it performs the function of the collection and the drainage of the secretion. So breast, it is divided into 15 to 20 lobes. So these lobe, it consists of breast lobules which drain their secretion through its collecting duct system and opens into the nipple through its own main excretory duct, that is lactiferous duct. So this lactiferous duct is subjacent to the nipple and it shows a small dilatation. It is called lactiferous sinus. Each lactiferous duct has its own collecting duct system, and it has a branches of smaller branches, smaller diameter, called terminating peripherally, which is also called as terminal ducts or terminal ducts unit, and in the breast lobules. Okay. So each lactiferous duct has its own collecting duct. As I've shown in the picture, you can make out in that microanatomy picture. I showed you the collecting duct in main terminal ducts. Okay. The entire duct lobular epithelial system, it has a bilayering epithelium. I have shown in the picture already. So inner epithelium layer, it is cuboidal to columnar. So it has a secretory and absorptive function, and the outer is the myoepithelial lining. So it has a characteristic ultrastructure and immunoreactivity function. So the inner epithelium, it stands for epithelial membrane antigen and lacked albumin, while the myoepithelium is positive for smooth muscle actin SMA, which I showed you people in the picture, and S100. I hope it is clear for you people. And stromal component. Coming to the stroma, the supportive stroma of the breast of a variable amount of loose connective tissue and adipose tissue during different stages of reproductive life. The stromal tissue of the breast, it is present in two locations, interlobular and intralobular stroma. So intralobular stroma, it encloses lobule and it consists of acini and ducts, which is chiefly made up of loose connective tissue, myomatous stroma, and few scattered lymphocytes. The interlobular stroma, it separates one lobule from the and it is composed mainly of adipose tissue and loose connective tissue. So this is the microanatomy of the breast, what you people saw. Now next I am going to the breast tumors. So coming to the tumors of the female breasts are very common and clinically significant, but it is very rare in men. So among the important benign breast tumors, fibroadenoma, phyllodes tumor and intraductal papillomas are very common. Carcinomas of breast is an important malignant tumor which occurs as a non-invasive, that is carcinoma in situ, and invasive cancer, it has a various morphological varieties. So what do you mean by in situ? There won't be breach in the basement membrane, so it will be, the basement membrane will be intact, whereas in invasive carcinoma there will be breach in the basement membrane. So coming to the first tumor, fibroadenoma, it is the benign tumor. Okay, so fibroadenoma, it is a smooth, discrete breast lump consisting of fibrous and adenomatous tissue. It is firm, mobile, and then it appears as a shift position, and it is commonly called as breast mice, or they tell a rat in the breast. So because it is very mobile, so if you move, it will be moving all over. So it is a well circumscribed tumor. Fibroadenoma, it is a benign tumor of the breast, and it consists of fibrous and epithelial element. It is the most commonest benign tumor of the female age group. It can occur at any age in the reproductive life. So it is 15 to 37 to 38 years of age group. Clinically, it is solitary, discrete, freely mobile, and freely mobile nodule within the breast. Rarely, fibroadenoma can contain in situ or invasive lobular or ductal carcinoma, or the carcinoma may invade the fibroadenoma from the adjacent primary breast cancer. Coming to the gross. So gross appearance, so typically fibroadenoma, it is very small. So it is 2 to 4 centimeter diameter. It is solitary means it is single, it is well circumscribed, spherical in shape or discoid mass, you can tell. Cut surface, if you give a cut section, so it is firm to touch, grey white, which is grey white in color, and slightly myxoid you can see, and also it shows a slit like spaces, which is very characteristic in fibroadenoma, and it is formed by compressed ducts. These slit like spaces are formed by the compressed ducts. So this is the characteristic feature of the breast one. Grossly what you will see, it is small, 2 to 4 centimeter in diameter. It is solitary, it is well circumscribed, and it is spherical or a discoid mass. If you give a cut section, it will be firm, which will be grey white in color, and also you will be seeing cyst like spaces, which is characteristic of fibroadenoma. Now we will see the microscopy. Sometimes occasionally you can see multiple fibroadenomas which may form a part of fibrocystic disease, and it is termed as fibroadenomatosis. And also fibroadenoma, sometimes it can be large also, so measuring it is up to 15 centimeter if it measures, we call it as giant fibroadenoma. Coming to the microscopy, as I have told you people, there are two types of pattern, which is characteristic in fibroadenoma. You have to remember intracanalicular pattern and pericanalicular pattern. Intracanalicular pattern, it is one in which the stroma compresses the ducts so that they are reduced to slit-like clefts. It is lined by ductal epithelium or may appear as a cords of epithelial elements surrounding the masses of fibrous stroma. I will show the picture. Pericanalicular pattern, it is characterized by encircling masses of fibrous stroma around the patent or the dilated ducts, you can see. The fibrous stroma, it can be quite cellular, or it can be, you can see areas of hyalinized collagen, and sometimes the stroma can appear like loose and edematous. And also juvenile fibroadenomas, it is very uncommon variant of fibroadenoma. So they are very large and rapidly growing mass which is seen in the adolescent girls. This is the microscopy. See here, two patterns you can observe here. It is intracanalicular pattern, it is the pericanalicular pattern. You can make out here. So the compressed ducts you can make out, which are and you can make out here the compressed ducts. So it is intracanalicular pattern which is surrounded by the stroma. Okay, and here pericanalicular pattern you are seeing, so the patent ducts or the dilated ducts you are seeing, which is surrounded by the stroma. So these are the two characteristic feature of the microscopy of fibroadenoma. One is intracanalicular pattern and another one is pericanalicular pattern. I hope you people have understood, and you can make out the picture also very well. Here the ducts are compressed and here the ducts are dilated and it is surrounded by the stroma. So next, so these are the benign tumor. So fibroadenoma, it is one of the benign tumor of the breast. Next we are going to see the carcinoma of breast. Carcinoma of the breast, it is the common among the commonest human cancers throughout the world. Okay, it is more commonly seen in US. So it constitutes about 25% of all cancers in the female. Approximately 20% of cancer deaths among the females, it is because of breast cancer. The incidence of breast cancer is highest in perimenopausal age group and it is uncommon before the age of 25 years. Clinically, the breast cancer usually presents as a solitary, painless, palpable lump. So it is solitary, painless, palpable lump which is detected quite often by self-examination. The mass is not pinchable, it is not pinchable and it appears to have fixed to the skin. The late stages may show nipple discharge or the ulceration, or you can call it as a pudgy orange appearance also you can see. If it is not treated in the earliest, so in the later stages you can see all these changes, and also axillary lymph nodes will be palpable for these patients. Not like all the patients will have axillary lymph nodes palpable. So the later stages you can see axillary lymph nodes also can be observed. For early diagnosis, what are we doing? So mammography can be done. Okay, zero radiography, thermography can be done to rule out carcinoma breast. Okay, so techniques how to identify whether it is benign or malignant. One examination is fine needle aspiration cytology, that is called FNAC. So FNAC we can do, or FNAC also doesn't give a conclusive diagnosis, then we go for a stereotactic biopsy, and also frozen section can be done. So frozen section is nowadays they are doing frozen section to rule out the carcinoma, and for the stages, to know the stages and also which type to know, they are doing frozen section, which is very common technique. Okay, and it is immensely valuable to the surgeon for the immediate pathological diagnosis. Coming to the etiology, what is the etiopathogenesis or etiology for the breast cancer? The incidence of breast cancer is about 6 times more common or higher in the developed countries than in the developing countries. Okay, so it is 6 times higher in the developed countries compared to developing countries. So because of what? Because of the consumption of more fat food, okay, and high calorie diet, okay, by Western population, then in the Asians and then in the Africans. So next we'll see genetic factor. It is another factor which where it shows higher risk of developing breast cancer. So coming to the family history, so first degree relative like mother, sister, daughter of a woman with the breast cancer have 2 to 6 fold of risk of developing breast carcinoma. So the risk is proportionate to few factors: number of blood relatives with the breast cancer, younger age at the time of the development of the breast cancer, bilateral cancers, high risk cancer families in having the breast and ovarian carcinomas. So there are 4 categories. So number of blood relatives in the breast with breast cancer, and younger age group at the time of the development of the breast. Third is the bilateral cancers. Fourth is the high risk families where they have both breast and the ovarian cancers. Okay. Next, in coming to the genetic mutation, BRCA1 gene which is located on the chromosome 17 or a DNA repair gene which is implicated in both breast and ovarian cancer is inherited in inherited cases. BRCA1 deletion is seen in about two-thirds of the women in with the inherited breast cancer having a family history with BRCA1 mutation, which is uncommon in sporadic cases. BRCA2, which, the gene which is located on chromosome 13, so another DNA repair gene which is mutated and has a similar high incidence of breast cancer and also in ovary with females and prostate in men. So who has this BRCA2 gene mutation? So you can see in females you can see breast and ovarian tumors, or it can be in men it can be prostate. So mutation in P53 tumor suppressor gene on chromosome also is one of the risk factor for developing breast cancer. Next, coming to the estrogen excess. So there is sufficient evidence to suggest that there is excess endogenous estrogen or exogenously administered estrogen for the progress of the carcinoma breast. It depends on the duration. Okay. So evidence in support of increased risk with estrogen excess are as follows. Women with prolonged reproductive life. So high risk in nulliparous woman, okay, unmarried or a nulliparous woman, then in a married and a multiparous woman. Women with the first childbirth at the late age group. Lactation is said to reduce the risk of breast malignancy. Bilateral oophorectomy, it reduces the risk of development of the breast cancer. Functioning ovarian tumors like granulosa cell tumor, which elaborates the estrogen, which increases the estrogen level, and it is associated with the increased risk of developing breast cancer. So estrogen replacement therapy is administered to postmenopausal women. They may result with the increased risk of breast cancer. Long-term use of oral contraceptives has been suspected to predispose to the breast cancer, and there are no definite increased risk with balanced estrogen. Progesterone preparation is used in the oral contraceptives. Men who have been treated with estrogen for prostatic cancer have increased risk of developing cancer of the male breast. Okay, so this are the few etiological factors which are important, and miscellaneous factors other than this. It can be due to consumption of large amount of fatty foods or high calorie foods, and also for cigarette smoking, who smoke cigarette, alcohol consumption, breast augmentation surgery, and also exposure to the ionizing radiation, so during breast development. So this can lead to the risk of developing breast carcinomas. And also sometimes fibrocystic change. So fibrocystic change, particularly when it is associated with atypical epithelial hyperplasia, which has a 5-fold increase, means 5 times higher risk of developing breast carcinomas. So here you are seeing the topography of the breast cancer. So you know there are 4 quadrants of the breast. So upper inner quadrant, upper outer quadrant, lower inner quadrant, and the lower outer quadrant. So which is and the central portion where nipple areola is seen. So 50% tumors are more common in the upper inner quadrant. So it is very clear. See here, 50% it is more common in the upper inner quadrant, and next it is more common in the nipple areola region, that is in the central portion, and the rest 10% it is showing in the upper outer quadrant, lower outer quadrant, and lower inner quadrant. So the commonest site is upper inner quadrant. Coming to the classification of the tumors of breast. Coming to the classification of the carcinoma of the breast. So first, a non-invasive in situ carcinoma, I explained you people before. So in that, two types are there, intraductal carcinoma and lobular carcinoma in situ. In invasive carcinoma, there are many varieties like infiltrating or invasive ductal carcinoma. NOS means not otherwise specified, which is the very commonest tumor, that is infiltrating ductal carcinoma or invasive ductal carcinoma. Infiltrating lobular carcinoma is the next commonest tumor, medullary carcinoma, colloid or mucinous carcinoma. Next is papillary carcinoma, tubular carcinoma, adenoid cystic carcinoma, secretory carcinoma, inflammatory carcinoma, and carcinoma with metaplasia. And also the last one is the Paget's disease of the nipple. So first we'll see non-invasive breast carcinomas. So non-invasive, I've told you people, so if there is no breach in the basement membrane, so the ducts are intact, so the tumor will be inside. So it won't, if there is a breach, then the tumor cells will move out into the stroma. But here in situ, it will be intact. Basement membrane will be intact. That's why it is called in situ. Okay. So there are two types, non-invasive or in situ carcinoma. Intraductal carcinoma and lobular carcinoma in situ are the characterized histologically by the presence of tumor cells within the ducts or the lobules respectively without the evidence of invasion. So as I have told, so there will be intact basement membrane, so there will be no invasion into the stroma. If there is invasion into the stroma, then we call it as invasive breast carcinoma. Coming to the intraductal carcinoma. Carcinoma in situ, it is confined within the larger mammary ducts. It is called intraductal carcinoma. The tumor initially begins with the atypical hyperplasia of ductal epithelium, followed by filling of the duct with the tumor cells. Okay. So clinically, it will be palpable mass. So 30 to 75% of these cases, it presents with nipple discharge. And the 30 to 75% of the cases, it presents as a palpable mass, but 30% of the cases will present with the nipple discharge. So this is the non-invasive in situ carcinoma of the breast. See here. So these are the various patterns you are seeing. So this is the solid part. This is one of the duct which is filled with the tumor cells inside. Okay, so this is called the solid pattern. This is the comedo pattern. See, the center necrosis, the eosinophilic, the pinkish color you are seeing. This is the necrosis which is surrounded by tumor cells. This is the comedo pattern. This is papillary. Papillary like finger-like projections you are seeing here. So this is called papillary type. And this is cribriform. So cribriform is the, see here, you can see the pattern, the cribriform pattern, where the spaces you can see in between, and these are the lobular carcinoma in situ. So here the cells will be uniform cells. So uniform presentation or a Indian file pattern we call, okay. But in situ we don't see Indian file pattern, but here the cells will be uniform. So patients of the intraductal carcinoma, it is treated with excisional biopsy. They develop ipsilateral invasive carcinoma during the follow-up period of 10 years, while the chance of contralateral breast cancer developing in breast with intraductal carcinoma is far less than that associated with in situ lobular carcinoma. Grossly, the tumor may vary. It is small, poorly defined. It can be 3 to 5 centimeter in diameter. Cut section if you give, it can be cystically dilated, containing cheesy necrotic material, or intraductal tumor may be, it can be polypoidal or a friable mass you can see, or which can resemble like a intraductal papilloma. So histologically, what do you see? I have shown the picture, no? The proliferation of the tumor cells within the ductal lumina may have 4 types of pattern, that is solid, comedo, papillary and cribriform. Okay. So solid pattern, I have told it is it is characterized by filling and plugging of the ductal lumina tumor cells. Okay. Comedo pattern, it is centrally placed necrotic debris which is surrounded by the neoplastic cells. Okay. Papillary pattern, it has the formation of the intraductal papillary projection and the tumor cells which lack the fibrovascular stalk, and it can be distinguished by intraductal papilloma very well. Cribriform pattern, I have told you people, there will be spaces, okay, or you can see neat punched out appearance or fenestration in the intraductal tumor. Now very important, we are coming into invasive ductal carcinoma. So NOS type, not otherwise specified. It is a classic breast cancer which is most common histologic pattern accounting 70% of the cases. Clinically, majority of the infiltrating ductal carcinoma, they have a hard consistency. All the tumors, they'll be very hard. You can't pinch the skin, okay, and you can't move. You can't move the tumor, okay, and it will be very hard to touch due to dense collagenous stroma, that is called Skirres carcinoma. Because of the hardness, we call it as Skirres carcinoma, and they are found more frequently in the left breast and often in the upper outer quadrant. This I have discussed earlier. Retraction of the nipple and the attachment of the tumor in the underlying chest wall may be present. Coming to the gross appearance, these tumors, they will be irregular, okay, it is 1 to 5 centimeter in diameter and hard. If you touch it will be hard, cartilage like mass. If you give a cut section, a gritting sound will come, okay. The section surface of the tumor is grey white to yellowish with the chalky streaks you can see. It often extends irregularly into the surrounding fat, okay. So here, see, this is the example or the picture. You can see here how the tumor is. So this is the diffusely infiltrating tumor you are seeing. So it can extend up to the nipple and areola. It is not touching here, but it is extending, okay. So this is the cut section of the breast. See, bread loofing we have done. So this is the bread loofing we have done just to see how much the tumor size to measure. We have given the breast loofing, and also it is firm, extending irregularly. So it is irregular, it is not well circumscribed like fibroadenoma. Fibroadenoma, you people saw it as well circumscribed, it is solitary lesion, whereas this is diffuse, irregular, okay, which is extending irregularly into the adjacent parenchymal breast tissue. Next, coming to the histology or the microscopy, so you can see anaplastic tumor cells, so forming a solid nest, cords, poorly formed glandular structures, and some intraductal foci also you can see, and also infiltration by this pattern of tumor cells into the diffuse fibrous stroma and fat. Invasion into the perivascular and perineural spaces also you can see. So this is the picture of the infiltrating ductal carcinoma. So here you can see the see here, these are the solid nests. So the tumor, this is the solid nest, these are cords like arrangement, glandular arrangement, you can see the intraductal growth pattern. See here, you can see the comedonecrosis type. So all the patterns you can see here, and also you can see here thing you are seeing the ductal epithelium and all the tumor cells within the stroma. So this is a specific, it is very characteristic feature of invasive breast carcinoma or infiltrating ductal carcinoma. So we have come to the end of the class. I'll just show the pictures of all the other tumors, and next class I will continue with the other tumors. So this is invasive lobular carcinoma. See, I told you people Indian file pattern. So this is the Indian file pattern. So they have arranged in single line, the tumor cells have lined up here. This is called Indian file pattern, okay, and also within the stroma you are seeing this tumor cells. So this is invasive lobular carcinoma. So this is medullary carcinoma of the breast. So here you can make out which is very fleshy. It is large grey white irregular mass, fleshy like. So this is very common and characteristic feature of medullary carcinoma breast. And here you can make out the anaplastic tumor cells. So they have a syncytial pattern with the lymphoid stroma. More of lymphocytes within the stroma you can see, which is typical of medullary carcinoma. And the last one is the mucinous carcinoma breast. Just I am showing the picture. So here you can see the tumor cells which are in the nest, and also you can see the pools of mucin surrounding it. So the name is called mucinous carcinoma of the breast. So I'll end my class. Okay, so today we have discussed about both benign and malignant breast tumors. So benign, it is fibroadenoma I have discussed, and malignant I have discussed about invasive ductal carcinoma or infiltrating ductal carcinoma. Today only you people go up and read. Thank you.